All right, welcome to another podcast of Million Dollar Life. And this is Dr. Dawn Hunter. I'm so excited to have Nancy RIVARD on the show. And she is currently in El Salvador as we're filming this right now. And I was introduced to Nancy through our good friend Leon, who owns the Water for Children Foundation, about clean water, foundation nonprofit. And we'll get into that on another show. But I'm so excited that we finally were able to link up. And I want to, please, Nancy, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yes, my name's Nancy RIVARD, and I'm the president of Airline Ambassadors International. And I founded this organization. I was in management with American Airlines and going up the corporate ladder. And I wanted, when my dad died suddenly on Christmas Eve in 1981, I prompted me to really look at my life. What was I doing with my life? And I saw the people higher up on me in the corporate ladder, and they were nice people, but they didn't really have a higher purpose in their life. So I went back to a flight attendant position. I was a supervisor of flight attendants, and took a backward step professionally to take a step toward my soul. And I began traveling all over the world. Mm-hmm. I actually traveled for 7 years. So wow. I had a flight attendant benefit. So the first stop was the Hopi Indians. I went to visit Hopi. That's how I got involved with Leon. And then I traveled documenting miraculous phenomena all over the world, looking for a higher purpose.
Wow.
Also, I had the ability to travel and assisted at international conferences all over the world, which really it was better than any graduate school. I already had a master's degree, but this was really informative, and I learned so much. At the end of 7 years, I gave away all my possessions, and I moved to Hawaii, where American was opening a base, because I wanted to get quiet and hear what God was asking me to do. Mm-hmm. And it came to me that if you want to make a difference in the world, change values, the best way to teach is by example. And I saw that media, by telling parables and stories about people, could change the world. But I wasn't in media, but I was in travel. And I knew that traveling, because I just done it for 7 years, mm-hmm. to all these remote villages around the world, could change. And I thought, I got the idea of flight attendants, mobilizing flight attendants from all airlines to help children, vulnerable children all around the world.
Wow.
So nobody was interested in any of my ideas. I went to United Airlines. No one was interested. And so after the United Nations Earth Summit, which I met a lot of amazing people, and actually my husband in the
there's a perk.
And I wanted to move to New York, because as a flight attendant, you can live anywhere. I moved to New York and volunteered every day at the United Nations.
Wow.
I learned so much. And actually, one of our former board members just presented yesterday at the United Nations General Assembly. Airline Ambassadors is the only non-governmental organization that has status to speak to the General Assembly. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. What a great journey and inspiration. And I love that you just went on this, what I would call, Australians call a walkabout. You went on a walkabout, right? You did like 7 years in Tibet type thing. And yes, for a lot of women, I think they are fearful of traveling alone or doing this. And, here you are, you just went for it and you didn't think twice about what people would think or whatever. So what was your mindset during that 7 years? What were you, what was a day like? Were you just like flying to different states and cities and countries, just flying and staying in different places and just absorbing? Were you all by yourself? Did you have partners with you? Tell me more about that.
I pretty much went by myself. And
wow.
I just finished a book called Wings of Love that tells the whole story of the founding of Airline Ambassadors. And it tells how I started and how nobody was interested. Even the flight attendants weren't interested. Mm-hmm. And I was in New York and I said, "Dear God, no one's interested in my ideas." What am I going to do? And the inner voice said, stop talking about it and start doing it. And I said,
Yeah.
well, I had an opportunity to help with former Gorbachev. He was the president of the ex-Soviet Union, to volunteer at his conference, and nobody was interested. Not a flight attendant, not an airline. And I thought, the inner voice said, stop talking about it, start doing it. And I said, I'm going to take one step every month to make a difference. And so I did it. I was the only one. And then 2 flight attendants came with me the next month where the Bosnian war was raging. And they came and we delivered hotel amenities from our layover hotels to the refugee women in Bosnia.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was amazing. And then the next month, I escorted a little child that needed medical care back to her home country in Colombia. And this started rolling, and we ended up providing 672 missions, $60 million of aid, and many airplanes worth of aid all
Wow.
around the world.
That's incredible. That just gives me chills. Like the fact that, you say nobody listened to you, nobody was interested, right? And you're like, what do I do? And you said, you know what? It's almost like that thing, like a lot of moms do it. You know what? I'm just going to do it myself, because if they're not going to, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. So what was your upbringing like? And I can relate to that because I've been kind of like that, where I just kind of do what I'm going to do. I don't worry about what someone says or whatever, but not very many women have that kind of confidence, right? So what do you think instilled that in you? Was it something in your upbringing where, that you can recall that just kind of instilled that ability to say, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go and do what I do? Share some of that.
Well, I grew up in a really traditional household, middle-class family, lovely, father knows best type of upbringing in La Jolla, California. My parents were afraid that I would become a hippie in those days. So they sent me the most conservative school they could think of, Texas Christian University, and then Southern Methodist University.
Okay.
But I always had a love for God. I remembered a contract I had made as a soul to make a difference this lifetime. And at 12 years old, my dad asked me, what you want to do when I grow up? And somehow I remembered, I said, I'm here to raise the consciousness of humanity.
Wow.
And I didn't even know what the word consciousness meant. It is like it's imprinted on my brain.
That's
and
big.
I knew I had to live differently than other people. And I really remembered that when I was very young.
That's amazing. So that you have that recollection, that powerful imprint and message, or as you said, you probably like this show. Gosh, I'll have to look him up. I'll send him to you. It's Soul something. And he talks to people like, that have had NDEs and all this. And I think that I believe all that too. So, I think that you get a mission. And so so in your 12-year-old mind, you remembered the mission that was given to you before you came here, right? And you were lucky to have that. And I think so many of us do, but we don't know how to tap into it, right? Or it's not really present. You were just lucky; it just was right there for you. So that's amazing. And so
you have to find a way to bring love into action.
Yeah.
Whatever your personality, where you're sitting, if you smile at children, is be a good teacher. I happen to be a flight attendant. What can I do as flight attendants? I see vulnerable children in all these countries. And so I thought we can meet a need for the children directly, like medical care, blankets, clothing, school supplies. But it also meets a need within us to make a difference. And then you inspire something very much deeper, and it changes the world.
Oh my gosh. So amazing. Now, question, how did you end up in El Salvador? Is that where you lived all the time?
No, it's so exciting to be here, especially with the new young dynamic president. So I've known him since 2000. We brought our first airplane. American Airlines started giving me airplanes. They gave me 2 airplanes in a year. And so I had been invited by the president of Qantas International to bring aid to El Salvador, and I said, "Hey, let's bring an airplane. We'll do an
I
event
love it.
on
Let's just bring an airplane. We're just going to bring a plane with us while we go.
we'll do an event on Three Kings Day, which they celebrate Christmas. Sometimes they give gifts to children on Three Kings Day, January 6th. So I planned a mission there, and I brought about 30 people with me, and we helped at all these orphanages. And Armando is the father of Najib Bukele, the current president.
Got it.
Anyway, right after we came home, 2 days after we came home, a huge earthquake hit El Salvador. And we came right back down with a relief team from the president of the American Medical Association and other groups and doctors. And we did a press conference with the then president, and a second earthquake hit right while we were here. And my husband was with me, and he was a builder. And Armando said, let's check Bloom Hospital, the hospital for children.
Oh.
And so we were running over to the hospital. Dave, as a builder, said, this hospital is not safe. And so we're running out the babies, and we saved the babies.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And so my husband helped got a law passed in the United States. Armando got a law passed in El Salvador, the Construction and Safety Act of the Americas. So we became very good friends at that point.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think that's wonderful. I was telling Leon about that I actually have been to El Salvador. I did a mission when I was in chiropractic school. And we went down there as a group of 60 clinicians, and I was a student still, so I was just getting into clinic rounds. And we went down there. One of our beloved teachers was from El Salvador, and he arranged with, I guess, the president at the time. It was around 1999-ish era, and so we went down there and we treated I alone treated about 400 clients in 1 week. And we had doctors everybody was treating for free, just helping people feel better with chiropractic and wellness care. And I just remember just falling in love with the people. They're so amazing. Yeah. The food, phenomenal. And we stayed with a host family, and back then we didn't have Facebook. So I was sad I couldn't stay in touch with them, but we stayed with the family of the editor of the newspaper there. So he was the editor of the full newspaper. And then we met some of the people high up. I can't remember who, but they were so thankful. They showed us such, beautiful time and took good care of us. And they really wanted us to come back with clinics and things like that. But I was young and I was just getting out of school. But I remember, seeing like areas like, wow, they really need us to, they need this down here. But just the people, amazing, like such a great community. So great memories. Yeah. Great memories of El Salvador.
And I went down with my mom at the end of the 7-year spiritual search before I moved to Hawaii. I came down to give glasses to the poor with FUDEM on a local nonprofit charity. We give glasses, and it was so inspiring. And I also fell in love with the area.
I know, right? So that's amazing. So are you there part-time, or do you live there full-time now?
Oh, no, we never want to leave.
Oh, okay.
We very much love it. So we moved here 3 years ago. Dave was invited to become the minister over the Ministry of Design and Development. He works for Najib and to help the country develop in a positive way. We bought a rancho down here on the beach, gorgeous, just like I used to live in Hawaii.
Nice.
And we really love it. We create great friendships, and we really enjoy it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I have to do a trip to come see you because I haven't been there in so long.
I'm organizing a bunch of trips come up, so you have to come. And maybe Leon was going to come too.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be amazing. And we could do some promotions on it and spotlighting. And I have there's lots of things we could talk about on getting more eyeballs on this too, right? So that would be fun. It's funny that my husband and I were talking about, because we live in Washington, it's cold a lot. And we have a little ranchette too, but I'm like, we need a place that's warm, but I want some place where there's a water too, where we go. So maybe we'll be your neighbor.
Google just moved a branch here. They had a big press conference yesterday, and it's kind of like being at the founding of the United States.
Yes.
This is the country is going to be coming to the lead position probably in Central America.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna dig up those photos when I was there because it's so cute, and I remember the
Oh,
people. Yeah, it was just incredible. I can't wait to see the change. It's probably changed so much since I was there. So, well, this is
yeah.
so amazing. It's so exciting to meet you. So let me ask you this then: what would you say to somebody who's thinking about, sitting on a vision and a dream that they really have, and they're not getting support? They're not getting help like around them. They feel isolated, but they have this big vision and this big, powerful dream. They're tapped into their God source, but they're kind of, insecure about, like, what would you tell somebody who wanted to do kind of something you did, whatever, to really make them move ahead?
To follow your heart and ask yourself the question, how can I serve? Because each of us come in with unique talents and proclivities, and you want a way to meet world resource uh, with world need. You meet world need, and so how can I serve? Maybe
Mhm.
it's to be a good mother. Maybe it's to be a great teacher, but that will lead you to your destiny, and that will lead you to your soul.
Yeah,
Oh,
I would agree with that.
something. We later in 2009, we didn't know anything about human trafficking. And
Mm,
we saved a little girl in Cambodia, and we learned about their reality. And I said, I have to get involved.
yeah.
The next month, we correctly identified trafficking on 4 airlines.
Wow.
Congressman Smith, and we did the first briefings to airlines and embassies. And actually, we ended up changing the law in the United States for flight attendants to get briefed on human trafficking. So this destiny will lead you where you're supposed to go in the long run if
That's
you ask.
true. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, that's a whole nother topic. And, I hear about this, and, it's hard because we live in our little bubbles. I don't see it in my own hands. But I remember when we lived in San Diego, my mom would take me down to Mexico. And since I was a little kid, I'd go to Mexico. And I remember seeing things. And I think it's important for young people to see outside their bubble and see what's going on
Right.
in places where they don't live like them, or they have more, circumstances that are kind of, just not in their mindset, because they don't realize these things are going on. And it's hard to stomach it, and it's painful to watch. So a lot of people avoid it, but it's something that has to be addressed, right? We have to be strong, and you got to address it when you see it. So good for you. This is why we got to have a couple more shows, Nancy. I think we have a lot to talk about here, right?
Oh, I can't wait for you to come down.
Oh, I would totally do that. We could do a show down there. Oh my gosh. Like, I was talking to Leon on one note. I said, you know what? I feel, you say you have a mission. I feel like my mission is twofold. I really want to help women feel more empowered and feel more independent, and live their power source through, fueled by some kind of business that helps them succeed and feel independent. Because as
Beautiful.
so many women are stuck because they can't financially move on, or they stay in situations that aren't, the best for them, or they just, whatever, they don't end up serving, right, the way that
Yeah.
they can. It's not always about, it's for those women that would like to. So that's kind of my mission. And also, the other thing that we offer is we do a thing called scar and trauma work. So in the permanent cosmetic division, we have a thing called Scar and Trauma, where we can actually help people that have had scars, trauma, and we can make things disappear, through our artistic ability. And that's something that we want to get out to the world too, because there's so many people suffering with, all these things that have happened to them, and we can help them build their confidence. So it's
I would
all,
love to hear more about that. That's so cool.
yeah. So there's things that we could, talk about for sure. And I think it's really great. But I know you want to go walk your puppy. Now, what's your puppy's name? What's his name?
Ruby.
Ruby?
Ruby.
Roofy
Yeah.
or Ruby?
Ruby.
Oh, Ruby. Okay. And what is she? A Shih Tzu? Or wait, no.
Yorkshire Terrier.
Oh, little Yorkie. Okay. Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Okay. So we'll do another one of these. We can do some segments. We can go deeper, because I think there's so much to share. And again, Nancy, so great to meet you. I'm so excited to work with you. And we'll say, hey, everybody, look Nancy up, help out, get involved. Like, the message is get
Yeah.
involved and don't stand on the sidelines, and do it even when you don't feel confident. And even when you don't know what the next step is, trust in God's source, and just listen to what you're being told and just go, right? I mean, even if you make mistakes, it's still moving forward, right?
read my book, Wings of Love, and
Yes,
that will inspire you.
we'll put that in the link there. Okay, my dear. Talk to you another
Okay.
time.
Bye, Dawn. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah.